The ARSKitStudio Remedy Log Analyzer is a comprehensive feature for analyzing remedy logs. You can easily perform functional analysis to understand application execution flow and to debug any issue. You can also perform performance analysis to generate detailed report that helps you to achieve acceptable application performance. In first example, we will perform workflow analysis of incident creation activity. Select the server-side log file. Specify the primary user for which the processing is required, and select the type. Specify the reference server, from which the analysis will take additional information. For now, select the workflow option for workflow log analysis. Click on the Start button, and it will start the analysis. Once completed, it may open a result in a web browser. Larger results will get divided into multiple result files. This is the same API log that you requested for analysis, but it has brought the representation to a whole new fantastic level. As you can see, workflow analysis convert the plain old API filter and SQL logs into a beautiful, easy to understand, easy to navigate, nested log format where the API, filter and SQL logs are represented in different formats. The result analysis is broadly classified into two sections. The right side section is called a sticky eagle panel because it will stick to its position even if you scroll down, as long as you are analyzing corresponding API log. It will provide the high-level flow of whole API filter execution. As you can see, calling create entry API on HPD help desk form triggers different events, represented in the filter processing log, involving different actions, forms spread across different phases. These filter processes are represented in a nested format, to indicate the immediate parent filter process. For example, create event on an SRM request form was triggered from one of filter on SRM request interface create form, which in turn was triggered by one of filter on HPD help desk form in phase 2. You can move your mouse cursor over different line for better visibility. If you move your mouse over a particular form, it will highlight same form in different section. For example, HPD help desk form appears twice, but for a same record at different phases. Similarly, for NTE process control form, you can see 3 entries but this time the records are different. It also represents the time taken to perform particular section in milliseconds. For instance, create entry on help desk form took 13.9 seconds. You can drill down to filter processes to see what took help desk record creation of 13.9 seconds. But we will see more in detail shortly in performance analysis result. Let's come to the left side section of the log analysis result. This section represents API filter and SQL log. API, represented in bluish-green color, indicates API call, form name and request/entry on which API was performed. SQL log in olive color is represented in a small box with the SQL execution result, time taken to process it. Line number and timestamp from log, more importantly, the schema name for the table from the reference server. Filter process log indicates filter operation, form name and request/entry on which filter execution was triggered, along with phase number. Filters, filter guides and corresponding actions are represented in a different format. The navigation is one of the major issues while analyzing the server-side log, but ARSKit log analysis provide easy-to-navigate feature, wherein you can expand or collapse any API, filter process, or call guide section, click on particular API or filter entries from Eagle View, to directly jump into that log section. At the end of filter operation, click on Go To button to jump at the beginning of the event. You can navigate to specific action, which got deferred to phase 2, and vice versa. For example, this is one of deferred filter executing in phase 2. If you want to jump to the original call in phase 1, simple click on Go to Action link and you will directly land in requested action. You can again click on Deferred to Phase 2 link to jump to corresponding deferred action in Phase 2. Notice how underline changes from one location to another when you navigate from one section to another. As in when you scroll the page for analysis, the underlying focus will change depending on current event you are viewing. This is to ensure that you are not getting lost anywhere while navigating. For example, if you want to know on which form this particular filter was executed, you may simply refer the focused filter process from the Sticky Eagle panel. Even if you are lost, you can also click on Find My Location button to see where exactly you are. It also enhances the SQL statements for better understanding. For example, let's go to Insert SQL Statement of the Incident Record, which should be at the end of Phase 1. So jump into Phase 2 section, and scroll up. There are times when you want to understand from SQL statement what value goes into each column. For that you can simply highlight the column to see its corresponding value. As you can see, the focused column and corresponding value get highlighted. Same for vice versa case, that is, you focus on value and the corresponding column will be highlighted. It also generates additional information on top of SQL. You can perform field assignment usages search. If you wish to list the locations where a field from particular form is modified, type the field ID and form name for which you want to see the usages. As in when you type the part of the field ID, it will populate the list of matching fields and corresponding forms, which was set or modified in complete log by filter, SQL or escalations. As soon as you select your required field and form, a list will pop up, which presents the detail of field usages in sequence. It indicates that if the field was set or modified in filter, SQL or escalations, what is the request ID of record, for which the field was modified, and what the value was during the modification. Clicking on the link will navigate you to the section where the field was modified. For instance, here the field was modified in the first phase of Create Filter of the HPD Help Desk form. Click on SQL, it will navigate to insert a statement of the same transaction, where you can see same value was used in SQL. Similarly, is the case with other usage. You can view field usages of any form. For example, a field ID 7 of SRM request form, there is only one record, which was modified multiple times, with different status values. Click on First Few Entries, and you will see, within the same transaction, two filters of SRM, request form, modified the same field and last value was committed to the database at the end of the transaction. Another example of company field 1001 on NTE process control form, wherein you can see the field was set or modified in many transactions on different records of the same form. You can easily identify the source and target information of the assignments. For instance, in this case, these are the target and source information. This way, you can identify what and how the fields are modified. Likewise, you can also perform the analysis for system users like Remedy Application Service or Escalation users. If the API for same user overlaps, you can be specific to thread while analysis to give you required and accurate result. You can get similar workflow analysis result for the web client log. Select the logs from logging window, and click on the button. Within no time, it will convert the plain web client log into beautiful, easy to understand, easy to navigate, nested log format, where the events are represented in the green and nested structure, active link flows are represented in different format. Moreover, you can expand or collapse particular section, and analyze section of log, depending on what you actually wanted to analyze. As you can see, clicking on Save button on incident form, triggers set of active links, and this particular active link performs commit changes in fourth action, which in turn triggers active link on submit event. If you further scroll down, you may see active links getting called inside active link guide, represented in dark orange color. It may also highlight end of the particular active link or event or guide, and you can easily navigate to top of a particular section by clicking on Go Top link. You may notice all HTTP back channel call, that is, you can convert these API filter and SQL logs into more meaningful representation, similar to server-side log analysis. Please note that you need to select the appropriate settings in an AR user preference form to bring up the HTTP calls to enable API log processing. In a nutshell, ARSKit Log Analyzer will provide wonderful representation of log for rapid analysis. Now let us look at the ARSKit Log Performance Analyzer, which provide comprehensive performance reports at functional and system point of view. Select the Performance Analysis option, and select one of the sub-options. Primary User Performance Report will perform detailed analysis of primary user logs, whereas the All Users Performance Report will also consider other users. For advanced thread statistics, collect API logs for the minimum duration of 3 hours during peak hours, and upload it for thread analysis. Check out Improving Performance of Remedy Application and Remedy Thread Configuration blog for more detail. For demonstration, let us consider all user performance reports for the incident journey. You can exclude a few of the system user. Once finished, open the Result from Result tab. You can share the result and open at any time. There are different reports generated. Let's go one by one. In API list, you can see API call details. You may sort it on execution time to see most time-consuming calls. You can also click on Open in HTML link to view the flow of selected API. This will show you the walkthrough of an API, which is useful for functional analysis. It indicates the total time consumed by each API call in sequence and corresponding filter process in sequence and nested format for better visibility of functional performance. As you may observe in this particular instance, creating request in SRM request form took around 1472 milliseconds because of its own filter executions, which in turn trigger filter execution of child forms. This 1472 millisecond, in turn, is responsible for a 2962 millisecond execution period of interface logic, which in turn is responsible for extra 6340 milliseconds for processing in phase 2 of incident creation logic. And likewise, you can go up to top level. In this way, you can pinpoint the actual cause of delay in the whole API call. You may consider taking such log periodically, maybe on weekly/monthly basis, or just before and after implementing any code changes, so that you can compare and observe the performance difference. API list by group will combine the results into logical grouping. For example, all API call on helpdesk for took 14,481 milliseconds, which is 85% utilization of the system. Likewise, you can combine few other options, such as a group by API and schema indicates particular API call on particular schema. Likewise, you can get such a report for filter as well. For SQL reports, you can sort on execution time, to bring up the time-consuming second QLs. Additionally, it will display schema name of T-table, which was fetched from reference server during initial phase of log processing. SQL list by group will display a report using group by functionality. For example, the total time taken for SQL operation on helpdesk table is 629 milliseconds. And all T-table selection operations on helpdesk took on an average just 206 milliseconds. You may want to drill down from API to filter process to SQL logs to see group of analysis records. If you still don't know where to optimize the SQL statements, then table detail is a perfect option for you. It will analyze all SQL statements from the log, and prepare table-wise report, which will represent overall statistics for every table. It shows the total select, update delete, insert counts, along with the total and average execution period, sorted on average select time, and bring the most time-consuming table ID up. As you can see, fincost took was executed only 2 times, but on an average it took most times. Click on View Column link to see the column/field usages, which will show the column's usages in Select Where clause. click on Fetch Link to fetch the field index information from selected remedy server on fly. It indicates the field is used for 100 of times in where clause, but not indexed. Likewise, if you select for help desk table, it indicates that field used in where clause for most of time is already indexed. User Detail Report is more useful when you want to see remedy server utilization by different users or client type. For example, you can see most of system resources were utilized by app admin. You may fetch a report on client type to indicate what type of client took how much utilization of servers. For example, this is another report, which gives clear indication of the utilization of different services on single server. The escalation server takes 30 of system time. Depending on the load on other servers, you may decide to move the escalation process to another server. Finally, for the thread statistics report, click on the idle thread to observe which all threads were in queue for the system to pick up, so that you can configure the thread appropriately for accurate thread configuration. This is the end of ARSKitStudio Log Analyzer demonstration. Thank you for watching the video.